welcome to Fenway Park as we get ready for Game 1 of a 3-game series between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Hi again, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, and welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, the Red Sox back home for their final homestand of the regular season, and fresh off a very good road trip as the Red Sox went 5-2 on the road trip and had some very good performances. For Boston coming back, they took 3 of 4 in New York and 2 of 3 in Tampa. Powered by the offense, that hit .282 and averaged 7 runs a game. They've now won 4 straight road series, and their 42 wins away from Fenway this season are tied for first in the majors. Both series against AL East opponents, the Sox were able to increase their division lead over the Rays by 3 games by 5.5 to 8.5 during the trip. We welcome in Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley and Eck for the Red Sox. Not just one guy doing it, but several able to contribute as part of this last trip.
Absolutely. It started off with a bang in New York, a slugfest the first 3 games, and Red Sox won all of those. And 2 of the guys that were more consistent throughout the whole road trip were Middlebrooks, for one. You saw 3 home runs by him, and none bigger than that home run he hit off of Rivera on Sunday. They didn't end up winning that game, but his stroke has been back since he's come back, hitting .333 since he's come back. And the other guy, Nava, we've talked about him all year long. The guy has been totally consistent, an on-base machine, and when he swings a bat, he uses all the field. Left field corner, right field corner, and he's been so consistent. And both of those guys this road trip have been consistent, and the Red Sox have found a lot of ways to win games on this road trip.
Well, the Red Sox very successful away from Fenway Park and at home. Tonight they will take on the Yankees in Game 1 of the series. We'll come back with more from Fenway Park right after this. Sox and the Yankees. Welcome back inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo. Well, the New York Yankees coming to Fenway Park for this weekend series. This series is much more important for the Yankees than it is for the Red Sox. They have crept back into the mix here. They're a game out of the wild card, but the Red Sox this season have had the better of it against the Yankees in the season series. The Red Sox are 10-6 against the Yankees this year and have won the season series for just the second time since 2005. Boston swept all 3 series in New York this year. It was just the 4th time ever the Sox have won 3 series in the Bronx. They're hitting .314 against New York this year. Their 98 runs scored and 65 extra base hits are the most against any opponent they faced this year. We welcome back in Dennis Eckersley and Eck tonight. Hiroki Kuroda on the mound for the Yankees started very well, but has not been consistent.
Well, he's been their best pitcher all year up until the last 5 starts, and the Red Sox faced him last time out, and they worked his pitch count, got him up to almost 120 pitches. He didn't get the decision, but you see what they've done with him this year. He's lost 3 games against the Red Sox, and I told you, over the last 5 starts, this is what's happened to him. He was one of the best pitchers in the American League up until that time, and they need him desperately to be that pitcher for them if they're going to get this wild card game.
So a very big series for the New York Yankees coming in. Tonight for the Red Sox, it's John Lackey on the hill for Boston. He is 10-10 lifetime against New York this season, 9-12 on the year with a nifty 3.48 earned run average. Lackey and Kuroda, it's coming your way next. Red Sox and Yankees from Fenway. Part 5, Reebok Spartan Race Run at Fenway Park, November the 16th. Sony's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 in theaters September 27th. Dunkin' Donuts, Kia of New England, Salem 5 Bank and Pedroia's World, and by Southwest Airlines. Well, we welcome you back to Fenway Park as we get ready for this 3-game series between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And just moments ago, a moment of silence here at Fenway Park. Of course, the first home game for the Red Sox since September the 11th as the Red Sox were on the road, as we remember all of those who lost their lives on that tragic day. Look at the scenes just from a moment ago as we return here to Fenway Park. The Red Sox have taken the field here tonight to begin this 3-game series against the Yankees. Let's check out the New York Yankees visiting starting lineup. Curtis Granderson will lead it off. He is in center field with Alex Rodriguez batting second in the DH spot tonight. Robinson Cano at second base bats third with Alfonso Soriano in left field. Lyle Overbay at first base with Eduardo Nunez at third base. Ichiro Suzuki in right field bats seventh with Brendan Ryan at shortstop, newcomer for the Yankees. He bats eighth, and Chris Stewart does the catching, batting ninth. Let's take a look at the season numbers for tonight's Red Sox starter. John Lackey comes into his 27th start of the year, 9-12 with a 3.48 earned run average, 168 innings, 145 strikeouts. So the opponent's hitting at .253 against John Lackey. And Saturday got the victory against the Yankees. Mentioned in his career he is 10-10 lifetime, but got the victory last time going 5 2/3. Got plenty of run support for a change, getting 7 runs. Now the Red Sox defense is brought to you on Nesson by Southwest Airlines. Third to first, Will Middlebrook, Stephen Drew, Dustin Pedroia, and Mike Carp. In the outfield, Daniel Nava, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Shane Victorino. Battery tonight, Jared Saltalamacchia catching John Lackey. Red Sox 7th in the American League in fielding percentage. Umpiring crew tonight, the crew chief Ted Barrett has the play calling the balls and strikes with Mike DeMuro at first base. Ron Culpa at second base, and Alfonso Marquez is the umpire at third. Tonight's game is available in Spanish by pushing the SAP button on your television remote. Enjoy the game. Comfortable conditions here tonight at Fenway, 68 degrees as we get it started. Breeze in from left at 10 miles per hour. And the forecast partly cloudy. Is ready to work with the first pitch of the ball game is John Lackey. And that'll miss for ball one.
Yeah, like you said, Don, last time out, he didn't know what to do. He got so many runs. It was his worst outing. I mean, he just didn't have anything. That's what takes its toll on you, I guess, in half-an-hour innings, you know, and it does. It didn't turn out to be good for him. All the complaining went away in that game, though.
7 runs after the Red Sox have been shut out 6 of his starts. There's a pop-up left side of the infield, and stumbling a little bit was Middlebrooks, but he gets back to his left and makes the grab. So Granderson is retired for the first out here. The Yankees arriving from Baltimore last night around 3 a.m. The Red Sox getting back to Fenway Park around 4 a.m. from Tampa Bay. So both teams traveling in last night. And of course, the boos you hear for Alex Rodriguez in his return to Fenway Park once again. A-Rod at .294, 6 homers and 13 runs batted in. Takes strike one.
A-Rod's battling some leg injuries, but he's lucky enough to be able to DH tonight.
The left side of the Yankees infield looking a little bit different with Jeter lost for the year and A-Rod DHing. It is Brendan Ryan at short, Eduardo Nunez at third. There is Derek Jeter here with the Yankees, lost for the season, re-injuring that surgically repaired ankle. What a frustrating year it has been for Jeter. Swing and a miss for A-Rod, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
He threw that ball right by him. A-Rod sort of flat-footed on this ball in the outside corner. All arm swing. I mean, he's not 100% A-Rod.
Low and away, and it's 2-2. As far as Jeter goes, we were noticing during that series it didn't look like it was Derek Jeter even when he was okay early in the series and ends up leaving and not returning.
He didn't look good at all, and I was even saying that, you know, he was hurting them to put them.
Yeah.
He was hitting second in the lineup, and you saw him at short. You know, he stumbled on a couple of plays. His range was just not there. And you know, when you see a player of his caliber play like that, and it's not because he's too old. It's because the injury is not totally healed. And of all positions to have to play, this is not the Jeter that you want to see retire. I have a feeling next year he's going to come back and be pretty much what he was, and hopefully walk away like Mariano is.
Nice swing and a miss. Rodriguez strikes out. It'll be a long walk back to the dugout as he strikes out.
Well, Lackey got some pretty good cheese tonight. Made him look bad on a fastball down and away before. This one's up and out of the strike zone. A-Rod can't get there. But good velocity early on for Lackey.
2 down here in the first inning, and it brings up Robinson Cano. Digs in deep in the box. Cano at .309, 27 home runs, 100 runs batted in. And this is a guy that has been very consistent for the Yankees from the beginning of the year until now. Really their only consistent star that has been healthy for the course of the year for New York. And he's after that first pitch, fouling it back.
Kind of a hot, streaky hitter, but you know, talk about over the last month he's been on fire. And a lot of this has to do with Soriano, the guy hitting behind him. He had to admit that he's seen a lot more pitches. But this guy's the real deal. I mean, he did what he did without Soriano for what, almost 3/4 of the season.
And an interesting offseason for him, perhaps. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year, and most think the Yankee will bring him back. But
I can't imagine. They can't lose this guy. They'll give him the house.
Shows bunt, drops it down the third baseline with a shift on. It's a good one. This one's going to roll into foul ground, and he's headed for second base. Throw goes that way, but it'll be late. A bunt double for Robinson Cano right down the third base line with a shift on.
You talk about busting your shift. It's one thing getting a base hit, but when you bunt this ball for a double, are you kidding me? I'd be practicing that all day long, right? Easy double. These shifts, we talk about these shifts every night, right? I mean, over and over and over every night, and then you see this, and this makes you sick. I mean, this is what could happen. A double? I mean, you never see that, but for a guy like Cano with 2 outs, sure you want to see him swing the bat, but when you could take something like that they're going to give you,
you can take a double.
Take it.
Well, he takes the double here with 2 down in the first inning in scoring position for Alfonso Soriano, and he's hacking at the first pitch, sends it foul.
I mean, careful, man. First pitch, this guy has been on fire. Last time he was in Fenway Park, he launched a couple of balls the other night in Baltimore.
And a grand slam last time he was here at Fenway Park. Leads the major leagues with 15 home runs since July the 26th. That was the day that he entered the Yankees lineup. Looked like he may have gone around. They check he did. Mike Tamiro, first base umpire, said he offered.
Once he gets that big bat going, he can't hold it up. Down and away. He went.
But 15 home runs, 47 runs batted in since July the 26th in 45 games. He's been everything the Yankees needed and more. Yankees 0-2 pitch. That's outside, ball 1.
You might as well just stay out there. Just throw him 5 breaking balls in a row, down and away.
He will chase.
He's going to chase.
Well, John Farrell very pleased with the road trip the Red Sox had, going 5-2 on the trip, considering you went to New York and Tampa Bay. Very successful, winning both series. 1-2 is a swing and a miss, and Lackey strikes out Soriano to end the first. Now Dustin Pedroia will lead it off in the bottom of the first. Coming up in the bottom of the first inning, and the Red Sox starting lineup is brought to you by New England Chevy dealers. Now, Dustin Pedroia leads it off at second base with Shane Victorino in right field batting second. David Ortiz, the DH, bats third with Mike Karp at first base. Daniel Nava in left field bats fifth with Jared Saltalamacchia doing the catching. Stephen Drew at shortstop with Will Middlebrooks at third base batting eighth. And Jackie Bradley Jr. bats out of the number 9 spot in center field. on the mound tonight for the Yankees as we take a look at Hiroki Kuroda's numbers brought to you by Nissan. 30th start of the year, 11-10 with a 2.99 earned run average. 136 Ks on the year. Opponent sitting at 244 against Kuroda. The last time out was against the Red Sox in a no decision. So he went 6 innings, giving up only 2 runs, striking out 6, walking 2. Top of the Red Sox order, Dustin Pedroia leading it off here in the bottom of the first inning. And he'll take strike 1.
When he's got it going on, he's painting with everything. It's one of his best pitches, probably a split finger. And last time they faced him last Sunday in New York, they had him on the ropes. Bases loaded. You saw the pitch count through the roof. But when he makes his pitch, I mean, this guy could paint. You see the numbers. He's doesn't walk very many guys. 35 walks in 183 innings. But the concern was he might have hit a wall. You know, this guy's getting up in age. He got knocked around 4 starts previous to facing the Red Sox the last time out.
Yeah, Pedroia lines this into left field for a base hit. Red Sox have the lead runner on tonight. Dustin Pedroia with a base hit to get it started. Let's take a look at the Yankees defensively tonight. Third to first, Eduardo Nunez, Brendan Ryan, Robinson Cano, and Lyle Overbay. Left to right on the outfield, Alfonso Soriano, Curtis Granderson, Ichiro Suzuki. Tonight, Chris Stewart doing the catching for Hiroki Kuroda. The Yankees are third in fielding percentage in the American League to start the night. And Pedroia with a base hit to get it started here in the bottom of the first inning, and it'll bring up Shane Victorino. And Shane had last night off, and the hamstrings bothering him a little bit the night before, it appeared, as he was hobbling around a little bit in Game 2 of the series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Had last night off and back out there again tonight. Imagine that the turf situation in Tampa Bay did not help matters either.
No, you talk about legs, back, whatever. It's a good situation for the Red Sox. I know they haven't won it yet, but you can, rest a lot of guys that need to be rested. This guy in particular.
No 1 pitch, a fly ball out to center field, sending Granderson over to right center. And he'll make the catch for the first out. And remaining at first is Pedroia. Let's check in with Jenny.
Well, Don, thoughts are already turning towards October baseball and who the Red Sox might face in the first round of the playoffs. So for our AT&T text poll question of the night, we want to ask fans at home, of the 4 other remaining AL teams that are currently would make the postseason as of right now, which team would you most want the Sox to face as their first playoff opponent? So text your vote to 536-536. Select A for the Tigers, B for the A's, C for the Rangers, or D for the Rays. Message and data rates may apply. Vote throughout this game, our post-game coverage, and we will give you the answers tonight on NESN Sports Today, Don.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. Look, they are all tough. I'm not sure there's anybody on that list that you prefer to face, maybe.
I changed my mind about Tampa.
Yeah.
That's all it takes is a couple of weeks. They don't play. They don't swing. They don't look that good. And, we've been talking about the great pitching. They can get it together, at any given time. You talk about David Price, what he did. I mean,
that's the thing.
2-0. I mean, he could have won that game easily.
A short series with a very good starting staff. And you think about having to face him maybe twice in the short series. And that's something you got to think about.
That's why anybody could beat you with an ace.
I agree with you. They did not look very good.
No, they look horrible. You talk about not swinging the bats. Guys in scoring position. They let, I thought, Dempster and Peavy off the hook in the 2 games they started.
Pitch for a strike over the outside corner to Big Poppy, and it's a ball and a strike.
I don't know what you thought of the 2 starts by Peavy and Dempster. They pitched good enough, I guess, but always in trouble, and those walks are concerning.
There were quite a few walks in the 2 games. But at the same time, it appeared that they battled and hung in as 2 veteran guys who worked around all those walks.
It seemed like identical games. They make a pitch when they got to make a pitch. And then it was great to say, I haven't said anything about Buchholz. It was great to see Buchholz at 5 innings.
Yeah,
I mean, he was on time. It's like, let's go 9. Why not? No, but it was, I think, as best as anybody ever thought was going to happen. The way he was dotting the corner.
5 shutout?
Yes.
Outstanding. Especially since he's been off since June the 8th. I mean, you had to expect some rust.
So now the expectations are sky high again. Now I've already got him being the ace, and he's going to slam the door on anybody. And and the favorites are the Red Sox because of Buckholz. So I got to calm down here. He just went 5 innings. But that's the thinking, isn't it?
It is.
Because you think you're leaving off a guy that was the best pitcher in the game when he left.
Because now he's 10-0, by the way.
And he's not tired.
No.
He's not. But at the same time, he's got to get his pitch count up. And that's going to take a while. And, all of a sudden he has a bad start. We're going to say back to the drawing board? I don't think so. But you just can't get too excited. But I am.
What did you think about his breaking stuff? Because I guess that's the thing you worry about perhaps most coming back off that long layoff.
He didn't throw that many hooks. He really didn't. I thought he had good velocity. I thought he had good command down in the zone. He started off kind of, behind the count, looked kind of, I didn't know what was going to happen from there. But think about it. He's got 2 guys thrown out because he's so quick to the plate. He just looked like he was complete control of that game for 5 innings, even though Tampa Bay can't swing very good.
Pedroia at first base, 1 down, and a 2-2 pitch here. And Ortiz lines it to left field. This will get in down towards the corner. As Pedroia stumbles around second base, he will get to third. It's a double for David Ortiz, and it's second and third with 1 out.
Saw Ortiz in Tampa hit a ball to left center field out easily. I love this stroke. This left field stroke, Fenway Park, easy double. You're thinking Pedroia has a shot at scoring here if it takes a little too long coming out of that corner. But he holds up at third. Stand-up double by Ortiz.
So second and third, 1 out. Red Sox here threatening in the first inning, and it'll bring up Mike Carp. And Carp in the cleanup spot tonight. And, of course, his big grand slam in the 10th inning. Game 1 of the series against the Tampa Bay Rays. He hits at .314 on the year. 9 homers and 37 runs batted in. Now for Carp, able to pick up his 9th home run of the year in a pinch hit grand slam in St. Pete.
He smokes this ball to dead center field. First pitch slider, and here's Carbona, or whatever his name is. It's supposed to be a sinker baller. He throws him a slider. First pitch, he hits over the center field fence. That is in Tampa, you got to crush a ball to hit that ball out.
His name is now Roberto Hernandez.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
That guy gave it up. First pitch slider. I mean, this kid has had some kind of year for the Red Sox.
Now second and third, 1 down. Yeah, I think on the unexpected list, he could be at the top for me as far as going into the season, what you thought you were going to get out of Mike Carp.
Totally.
And in fairness to Mike Carp, I mean, he was really never healthy with the Seattle Mariners, and that's why you kind of gauge on what you saw in Seattle. You didn't see much in Seattle. That's why they traded him.
I saw him a couple years ago. He hit 14 home runs, and he had some pop, but we don't see them enough.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he barely makes this team over Overbay. And Overbay's had a nice year for them. But he stung the ball right away. In Cleveland, I think he hit a couple of triples off the center field wall in Cleveland. I said, who's this guy? And then he's done everything. He's the one that hit the thing the other couple.
The thing.
Yeah, he's the one that hit he can either hit a thing or he can hit a bomb over the center field fence.
Ground ball down the first base line. Overbay will tag the bag. And in from third base is Pedroia. The Red Sox take a 1-0 lead. Carp will pick up his 38th RBI of the season. And the Red Sox lead it 1-0.
Give me RBI by the Yankees playing back. Just don't want a big inning. He'll take that RBI.
So 2 down in the inning, and David Ortiz at third base as Daniel Nava gets ready to step in. Heck, we want to send along happy birthday wishes tonight. 107th birthday wishes to Obeline Byron tonight. Fan of ours from Lawrence, Massachusetts. She was 12 years old when the Red Sox won the World Series. So congratulations to Obeline Byron. Wish her a very happy birthday tonight. 2 down here in the first inning. One 0 is going to miss, and it's 2-0.
Boy, if you take his split finger, I mean, he's in trouble. I mean, he's still got, you know, decent velocity, but he's got to paint with it, and his slider is nice too, but I think he has much more trouble with left-handed hitters.
Trying to minimize the damage here in this first inning. He's given up a run, and now he's fallen behind Nava 3-0. Nava hitting .317 against right-handed pitching. 9 of his 11 home runs off right-handers. There's a strike, 3-1. When I think about it coming in, you always think about CC Sabathia being the guy you would think would lead the Yankees coming into the season, but really it has been Kuroda who's been the most consistent, and he's got 11 wins. Andy Pettit has got 10.
CC has not been himself this year. Highest ERA of his career.
This one is to left field and in for a base hit. In from third comes David Ortiz, and the Red Sox take a 2-0 lead. A 2-out RBI single for Daniel Nava, and the Red Sox grab the game's second run.
You know, there's some teams that play Nava to pull, left-handed. How can you possibly pay him to pull? Now the Yankees don't, but this shows everything. He can do this 3-1 pitch down and away, and shoots this ball in the left field. That is a beautiful thing. And Nava's been doing that all year long. Left-hand side of the plate is where he can do the most damage, but he's been so consistent.
So the Red Sox getting 2 runs here in the bottom of the first inning. And Jared Saltalamacchia batting. Shift on the right side for the Yankees. And Kuroda missing with ball 1. As I mentioned, a lot of pitches thrown by Kuroda last time out against Boston. And he's already had to throw 20 first inning pitches here tonight. Not out of it yet. (2-0).
Just like all good pitchers, has to get in a little rhythm. And early on in the game, you don't have that split finger. It's a ball. I mean, it's going to make you throw pitches, and then you're going to have to throw strikes. He kind of got burned on that Nova pitch. That's a pretty good pitch down the way.
That's not close. 3-0.
I mean, this ballpark will do it to you a little bit too.
Inside, ball 4, and down to first base goes Saltalamacchia. This is going to bring Larry Rothschild out to talk it over. Red Sox have 2 on with 2 down, and this is not the way Larry Rothschild wanted this to start. Especially where the Yankees need this game badly, and really the rest of them. They start the night virtual tie with the Indians, a game back of the Rays in the wild card standings. Rangers have 81 wins on the year. Rays was 79. Indians was 79.
But I mean, I'm shocked the Yankees are in this situation.
Yes.
You know, when they came back and played the Red Sox a while back, and they won the series where A-Rod got hit by Dempster. And I thought, well, maybe they'll hang around a little bit. But you got to give Girardi credit. Now, if they don't win the wild card, I don't know how you get the manager of the year. You got to win something, don't you, to get the manager of the year. But this has been his best season. How he's put this all together. They've been limping all over the joint, and now they're limping in the bullpen. I mean, they're really scuffling. Logan is not right. Robertson's not right. Rivera's had to pitch all the time.
And this injury to Brett Gardner could be a big deal.
Oh, it is. He was one of their best players at the top of that lineup. And they most recently made that deal for Ryan, the shortstop, who I think is one of the best shortstops there is defensively. He's almost in the class of Iglesias. Can't hit at all, but he's a great shortstop.
That's outside for ball 2. 5 straight first pitch balls thrown by Kuroda as he's starting off behind the last 5 batters, and has started off behind Stephen Drew 2-0.
He's afraid to center it is what he is. Don't be afraid to catch some of the plate, but you might get stung.
That has to be a very bad feeling.
It is, I know, because the first inning you can't really find it, and so you keep trying to pick. Then you get yourself in this situation.
In there for strike, and it's 2-1.
He finally had to party with something, right? I mean, here you go.
Came back with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball and did grab the strike zone. As Drew's had a good year in this category. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Hitting over 300. Got Nav at second, Saltalamacchia at first, and 2 down. Red Sox have already scored 2 runs here in the bottom of the first inning. There is strike 2. Drew taking it. It grabs the outside corner.
It's a pretty good pitch behind the count. Little spin ball slider. Down and away. I thought this was a split finger, but it ended up being a little slider.
Drew, the 7th member of the Red Sox to bat here in the bottom of the first inning. That'll bounce in. Good block by Stewart. Able to keep it in front of him, and it's a full count now. The runners can get a start.
He has no feel for his split finger. That's what happens when you haven't got a feel for it. It's like ugly. It's like, ugh. It's like knuckleballs in the dirt or something.
Nav at second, Saltalamacchia at first. They'll be off.
Not necessarily going to throw a fastball. You know that.
Drew in the air to left field, down the line and towards the corner, and it's going to be a fair ball off the wall. Scoring is Nava, Saltalamacchia behind him. The Red Sox lead it 4-0. Right down the line and left and off the wall for Stephen Drew. The Red Sox have put together a 4-run first inning so far.
Stephen Drew looking fastball 3-2, and he gets it, but he doesn't try to crank this ball. He stays on it, hits the ball the other way, Fenway Park, wondering if it's gone. Has it got a chance? But it ends up being fair by a couple of feet. Off the wall double, 2-run double by Drew. 4 runs in off of Kuroda. Everybody scores.
So Stephen Drew cashes in again with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Delivers with a 2-run double. Now pitch outside for ball 1 to Will Middlebrooks, 8th member of the Red Sox to bat here in the first inning. "20 runs in the first inning this season for Kuroda. It has been a trouble inning for him, and here he is again. Swing and a miss, a ball and a strike.
Red Sox throwing a lot of left-handed hitters off them, which takes away that slider, that good slider you see he has to a right-handed hitter. Got him to throw a fastball, and they waited on it.
In there for strike 1-2. Grabs the outside corner. "32 pitches in this first inning for rookie Kuroda. And more importantly, he has been ineffective. High fly ball to left field. Soriano moving in. Shortstop Ryan out. And Ryan will make the catch. It ends the inning. The Red Sox score 4 times in the first. The 2-run double by Stephen Drew. Boston on top by 4. Alerts. It's all available on your computer and mobile device. Follow us on twitter.com/Nesson. They're following us right now on Twitter. As we play along to the second inning, a good start for the Red Sox, scoring 4 times in the bottom of the first inning to take a 4-0 advantage.
Lackey loving it, huh? What is this?
This is what now? 11 runs in his last start in an inning.
You know, you start talking about this stuff. Oh, the poor guy never gets any runs. The tide turns quickly.
This one fouled off to left. How about this as far as runs go? In the last 4 games and 1 inning between the Red Sox and Yankees, Boston has now scored 41 runs. That's getting it done.
Oh, that's getting it done. I mean, it's almost like that's why they are the highest scoring team in the game.
One fouled off to the left out of play.
You know, it's nice to see it on the road because you think that, well, because they play in Fenway Park, they have an advantage here. You know, they should score more runs. They should have a higher batting average, which I think they do batting average wise, but runs wise is pretty close.
Lyle Overbay swings at the 0-2 and puts it on the ground to Pedroia at second base. 1 down here in the second inning.
You know, you really didn't know where this was going to go with Lackey when he started the year out. You know, everybody says he's throwing the ball good in spring training, this and that. But what if he started off badly? Because they were worried about the reception that he was going to get in Fenway Park if he didn't start the year off very good, because everybody came down hard on him. You know, because the fact that he just didn't do the job and he was hurt. But if he didn't start off well, I mean, I've had times where players, starting pitchers, they move the rotation so that he doesn't have to pitch at home that much. Well, he's turned around this year. He's second in the league in ERA at home.
He has changed everything. I think that people have thought about him from a perception standpoint, and I always felt like he got a bad rap, to be honest with you. I know that the people thought he was a bad teammate from outside, and you ask any teammate of his, and they have loved John Lackey, even when he was going bad here. They absolutely love this guy.
I remember they were hooting on him because he came back, because he was, you know, getting his PT, his, you know, physical therapy, and it's like, what's he doing here? Get him out of here. Right. He's a bad guy. No one knows what's going on. The perception, you know, that's just a totally different perception. Ultimately, you've got to do the job,
right?
You know, and they feel badly. Maybe he was hurt, but so what? You know, the bottom line is you've got to put the numbers up.
But see, I don't think he got enough credit for pitching hurt for as long as he did. is in the air down the left field line. Nava on the run makes the basket catch. Nicely done. It is a 1-2-3 7-pitch inning for John Lackey and a nice basket catch for Daniel Nava. To the second, pretty good catch by Nava on the run.
Oh yeah, just a little basket catch for him on the go. Has got a lot of room to play with over there. Here's a guy that you thought was just a very average outfielder that's turned into a good one. And we've seen a lot of defense out of all the things Red Sox have done. Defense is probably down the list a little bit, but there's one big play this past series with Tampa. The play by Drew in the hole with the bases loaded won that game for the Red Sox.
And the Red Sox batting here in the bottom of the second inning and down the first baseline. Picked on the backhand by Overbay, who tags the bag ahead of Jackie Bradley Jr. Well, the first out here at the bottom of the second inning.
A nice play to his backhand by Overbay. Playing down the line, playing Bradley to pull. Still a nice play.
Lyle Overbay, one of the last cuts for the Red Sox at the end of spring training, ends up finding a home virtually the same day after the Red Sox had let him know that they were not going to have him in their plans. He ends up basically driving to Tampa where the Yankees were and joining the Yankees, and has been a huge part of this Yankees team all season long.
And he's going to find himself in the same position at the end of the season, looking for somewhere, where am I going to play? You know, because he's not an everyday player anymore. Same with Carp. The kind of good a year that Carp has had, he's going to find himself in the same position. I'm sure the Red Sox will want him back.
1-0 line to left, and this is going to get to the wall in a hop. Soriano gets it back in quickly and holds Pedroia to a single. Dustin's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles tonight.
Dustin gets a high slider in his eyes, and his eyes light up. That is the pitch. That is Dustin Pedroia's pitch that he wears out. Sometimes he leaves, goes bridge on that ball, but he has to hold up here at first.
So Pedroia at first base, one down. Shane Victorino, the batter. Flied out to center field in the first inning. He'll take strike one. Nicaragua trying to bounce back here in the second inning. Had to throw 33 first inning pitches. Inside, he gets hit again. This has happened so much lately for Victorino. Stands on top of the plate from the right side.
I believe Kuroda was the one that threw the ball over his head in the playoffs when the Dodgers played the Phillies, and he didn't mean this, but I think he took, I think you never forget, because he got more angry than he usually does. He usually just takes his base. Maybe it hurt more than before, but I do recall him getting thrown over his head in the playoffs.
17 times he has been hit and leads the league in that category.
But he alleviates the inside corner. You can't come inside on him. You're going to hit him. That's not fair if you're a pitcher, so that you don't come inside.
But if you don't come inside, he wins.
Right.
Now, as it works out, hit by a pitch again for the 17th time. 2 on, 1 out. And David Ortiz, a battery double in the first inning. Red Sox trying to get to Kuroda again after a 4-run first inning. And this one gets away. Everybody's going to move up. There's a swing and a miss for Ortiz, but the ball gets away from Chris Stewart. Saw Stewart have a tough time catching in New York from a defensive standpoint last weekend in the series.
Yeah, I was just going to say it. I mean, he was boxing balls galore in that series. This is curveball that he's got to catch. That ball didn't skip. It's a curveball. He knows it's coming. He turns his glove upside down and almost whiffs it. He has not looked good at all. And they were giving him a lot of credit for, what he's done with this pitching staff.
He's charged with a pass ball, and Girardi is now going to put on David Ortiz with first base open. Now the runners have moved up. Count was 0-1, deciding to put him on. Now the first base is open. They'll take their chances with Mike Karp waiting on deck.
Mike Karp's going to get a chance to add to his numbers that he's got going on this year. I mean, absolutely incredible numbers. Hasn't even got 200 at bats yet and close to 40 RBIs.
Seems like anytime he's had the chance to get into the lineup, he has done something very good for the Red Sox and has a chance here to do some damage right now. As he makes his way to the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out here in the second inning. That was the league leading 24th intentional walk for David Ortiz. Moves down to first base. Bases loaded, 1 down. Action for the Yankees. Mike Sigursky is up in the pen. As Kuroda continues to struggle here in the second inning now. That's over the outside corner.
A little gift right there. Strike 1.
You got Jackie Bradley Jr. to ground out. Pedroia single. Victorino hit by a pitch. They intentionally walked David Ortiz after a pass ball. And a check swing foul. He's ahead of Karp 0-2.
Looked to get a ball in the air, and a ball high like that. His eyes lit up, couldn't hold up.
Pedroia, Victorino, Ortiz on the base paths for the Red Sox. 1 down here in the bottom of the second inning.
See if he goes to his split finger. He hasn't had a good one all night.
Up and away, 1-2. Red Sox scored 4 times off him in the first inning through 33 first inning pitches. In the dirt, and it is now 2-2.
So he has no idea with his split finger where it's going.
Most of the time in the dirt.
Right, so all he's got left is a little slider he'll try to backdoor, but he just shoves this ball into the dirt. Not even close to being tempting. The Carp get that slider again. He knows how to do what to do with a slider.
Kuroda backs off again. Goes through the signs again with Chris Stewart. Strike 3 call. Grabs the inside corner, and Carp strikes out. It's a huge strikeout for Kuroda, his first of the game. 2 down.
Kuroda makes the best pitch of the night. Couldn't come at a better time. Bases loaded. Catches Carp looking, but you see how he first pitch is outside, but the umpire gives it to him. And you see the next pitch is a fastball up out of the zone, then a little slider, a little backup slider, and then the split finger in the dirt. And you're wondering what's he going to do now, and he throws that fastball, a little front door 2-sinker. Best pitch of the night.
So 2 down, and now Nava with the bases loaded takes strike 1. Nava single to left field to drive in a run in the first inning.
This is what happened in New York last Sunday. They had him. They could have knocked him out. They've already got 4. But they let him off the hook, and he ended up pitching 6 innings.
Nava lines it to left field. Soriano coming in to make the catch on the sinking liner. And the Red Sox end up leaving them loaded. Boston on top 4-0 at the end of 2. For deals via Toyota.com. Sony. Get the Sony Xperia Z exclusively at T-Mobile now. Salem 5 Bank and Pedroia's World. And by McDonald's of Boston. Now we head to the 3rd inning. 4-0. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees. Brendan Ryan leading it off here for New York. You were mentioning about his defensive prowess, and A lack of offensive numbers. He's hit at 190.
It's hard to hit 190. Seriously, it's hard to hit 190. That's why they say Mendoza line was the 200 line. It's hard to hit under 200. But he's got it covered. But he can play some D. This kid is a player. One of the best shortstops in the game defensively.
Played 87 games in the Mariners this season. 79 starts at shortstop. He hit at 192 as a member of the Mariners. Of course, appeared in parts of 7 Major League seasons with the St. Louis Cardinals, Seattle Mariners, and now the Yankees. His newest stop. Doesn't chase, and Lackey falls behind here 3-1.
He's the type of guy that if you have a good enough offense, have that guy as your shortstop, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really important position. This nowadays you need a little bit more than 190.
That's a strike. That's what makes what Jose Iglesias has been able to do so impressive this year, because he's been able to do it offensively in Boston and in Detroit.
And regardless about all the infield hits, he's hitting over 300. And period. I mean, you got to give the kid credit.
That's much different than 190.
Oh.
Although this is driven to deep left field for Ryan, and that is gone. So 4th home run of the year for Brendan Ryan, and the Yankees are on the board. Solo shot into the monster seats.
Wait a minute. 3-2 pitch looking fastball, sitting fastball, gets it. And I don't care what you're hitting. This guy's got power enough to hit it out of the ballpark. What is it about the Yankees? They get guys over here and they just play out of their shorts. 3-2 fastball, and he puts a swing on it. Boom. Dog somebody about hitting 190, and that's what's going to happen. Because that's what I would do as a pitcher. I'd forget about the guy like him at the bottom of the order, and I would lose focus a little bit. I'd just challenge him, and
you would already have the out in your mind.
Oh yeah, he's a stone out. He's a lamb, I would think.
Popped up right side, Pedroia short right. We'll put it away for the first out here in the 3rd inning. Let's check back in with Jenny.
Well, Don, to celebrate the exciting play of the Red Sox in the past few weeks and some of the very interesting beards these players are growing, the Red Sox are putting on a special promotion on Wednesday, September 18th called Dollar Beard Night. You heard me right. Any fan of any age who comes to Gate E on that date with a real or fake beard can get a ticket for that night's game for just $1 while supplies last. And they are playing the Orioles. Should be a great game, Don.
Indeed. They've got plenty of beards on this team. They're not short of beards.
Does everybody try to grow a beard? I mean, or
I think everybody
who's supposed
can
to, or if you can,
is.
But there's some guys that can't that are.
There's a drag bunt bid. Lackey dives, and then from his knees throws to first in time to get Granderson. Nice play by John Lackey. He went down hard on the dive.
When's the last time you saw a pitcher go flat, full out? A pitcher leaving earth on a bunt. This is a great play because he snatched it. It's almost by him. He gets a handle on it and throws him out. That's a big league play right there. That's a big man going after that. Staying with it. Little one hop behind the ball. Doesn't get it clean, but he gets his hand on it. Doesn't panic.
Well, nice play by John Lackey, able to get Curtis Granderson 2 down in the inning. And Alex Rodriguez gets his second at bat of the night as he takes a pitch outside for ball 1.
I don't think I've ever dove after a ball like that.
Not
really.
like that.
There's not that many plays that you're going to dive, leave your feet,
fully lay it out.
Lay out. I mean, you don't see it very often.
This one fouled back. Well, it's tough to look cool like that, too, which is something I'm sure you take into consideration.
I don't care about look cool, because that's a hit. That ball gets by you. That was a blueprint bunt, base hit. I can afford to look bad, in a play like that. You give me an out, I'll look bad. It's all right.
2 down here in the inning. A 1-1 pitch to A-Rod. And he's going to miss outside. Alex struck out swinging in the first inning. Lackey with 2 strikeouts in the game. And John Lackey's had success against Alex Rodriguez. It's at just 180.
5 bombs.
Runs by him. 2-2.
Didn't look very pretty, did it? That swing. That swing is underwater. It's like it's not all there. It's taken a long time to get in the zone.
Going to yank that up and away, and it's a full count.
Saw Rodriguez hit a ball to right center field out of Camden Yards the other night. Soriano went the other way in Camden Yards. Camden Yards, I'll tell you what, that is a hard place to pitch.
Yeah, everything in the air looks like it's got a chance.
Goodness.
In there for strike 3. A-Rod knew it. Takes with him the third strikeout for John Lackey of the night. Lackey helping himself out defensively, laying it out. Ryan with a home run gets the Yankees on the board tonight as we head now to the last half of the third inning in this game. Well, it was great to have with us Staff Sergeant Ty Carter, who is joining us up here in the booth, as well as Chairman of the Boston Red Sox, Tom Werner. Let's say a little bit about Ty Carter. First, Ty Carter received the nation's highest military honor last week from President Obama, and it's great to have you both up here tonight.
Thank you. Want to talk about?
Must have been a huge deal. Excuse me?
No, should we want to talk about the event we're having next Monday?
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
That's okay. Please do.
We've got the Mission Gratitude event. It's the largest Wounded Warrior event in New England. It's coming up on September 23rd at Symphony Hall, and it's just an incredible effort. Tom, the Red Sox, and MGH have helped us put on.
High drive to deep center field, and this ball is going to be off the wall. And into second base goes Jared Saltalamacchia. He's got himself a double to get the inning started. Well, Tom, you've been so involved with the Walk to Home Base program. It's been a tremendous program over the course of the years. And talk about a little bit about the Red Sox contribution. Also, Mass General as well has been a big part of it.
Well, it's important that we honor the brave men and women who served us so well in Afghanistan and Iraq, and so many of them come back with PTSD or brain injuries, and so this program is it's our way of giving back. And I've been to the clinic a number of times. General Hammond runs the program, and I can say we're making a difference.
General, tell us a little bit about the clinic as well.
Well, we've got a large number of veterans that have returned home from Mass, New England, 100,000, and the suicide rate for our veterans is extremely high, 22 a day. Most recently, I've lost 4 soldiers that came back from Afghanistan with me a year ago. And home base is making a difference, and the work Tom and the team did in starting this is incredible, and now we're just trying to build on that success and grow for the future.
How can you donate to the home base program?
So homebaseprogram.org is the best way to donate, but the tickets that are still on sale are missiongratitude.com.
High drive out to deep left center field, and this ball will be caught at the wall by Granderson. As tagging up is Saltalamacchia. He will get to third base on the flyout by Stephen Drew, swinging a hot bat tonight. And the information coming up here and how you can donate right on your screen at the moment. It's amazing how this program has grown over the years as well, Tom, here for the Red Sox.
Well, I like to just say that when you talk to these brave men and women who come back, it's nice to know that we're giving back something and that we're not just saying goodbye and thank you very much. And this program that we're doing a week from Monday at Symphony Hall has got some great entertainment, a lot of country acts. Dennis, I hope you enjoy Van Perry, and Sarah Silverman will be there. And so we're hoping to fill Symphony Hall and have a good evening and give the proceeds to the home base program.
Yes, the Van Perry, Big and Rich. You mentioned Sarah Silverman, who will be here. Saturday Night Live's Daryl Hammond will be here. And the winner of The Voice, Cassidy Pope, will be here as well. And also some of the Red Sox legends returning as well.
Pedro's going to be back, and Tim Wakefield. So it's going to be a great evening.
Coming out now is Larry Rothschild as Kuroda falls behind 2-0. Red Sox have had some pretty good swings in this inning.
Got some good swings so far tonight, haven't we?
I don't think he's all that healthy, Kuroda. The way he's been throwing tonight, and you see him coming out, bullpen going the last 2 innings.
Well, Tom, you have to be very happy with the way the season has gone. It has been so far magical.
It really has been. And the last 3 weeks have been, every night has been exciting and entertaining. Larry and John and I were in New York last weekend for the Yankees series, and every one of those games, it was a great weekend for baseball, wasn't it?
Oh, it was.
Incredible.
The slugfest. We were on the good end of the slugfest is what happened.
The chance to pull away here at the end as well. It's less dramatic, which is certainly good this time of year.
Well, we're not counting our chickens yet, but this team is so exciting, and
it's nice to get Buchholz back, right? The other night
he pitched beautifully, didn't he?
Yes.
And a swing and a miss here for Middlebrooks. Will popped out to short his first time up.
Let's get one more run this inning at least, right?
Just back to home base for a second, but it also helps out the families as well. Not just the individuals come back, but the families of the individuals also, my understanding.
And that's a big differentiator. We treat the whole family, the veteran, and if you look at the fact that 100,000 veterans have returned home, for every one soldier, there's 10 family members that have been affected by this, and the children especially. You know, you've got a mom or a dad that's deployed once, 2, 3, 4 times, and that child has had to endure that. A good friend of mine, I talked to him yesterday, his children are 9 and 13, and that's all they know is a nation at war.
It's truly amazing. We thank you for all you do and look forward to this coming up once again. And
thank you. Thanks for having us.
Fans will come out again. Thanks for coming up, guys.
Well,
very much. General, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
So 4-1, the Red Sox have the lead here. Looking for more as the Yankees bring the infield in all the way around. Middlebrooks with a full count here, 3-2. And a swing and a miss as Middlebrooks strikes out for the second out of the inning. It's the second strikeout for Kuroda.
Kuroda comes up with a big pitch slider to Middlebrooks. He pulls off of.
Jackie Bradley Jr., the batter, grounded out to first base in the second inning. 0 for 1. In there for strike one.
This is not the Kuroda that was dealing most of the season. See his velocity way down.
There's a fly ball to center field. Granderson, he is there, and he makes the catch. Kuroda gets out of the jam again. Red Sox leave a runner at third, but Boston on top 4-1. or away. Eastern Bank puts you first with mobile banking. Pay bills, check balances, transfer money, even deposit checks, all from your phone. Eastern Bank, here you're first. And we head to the top of the fourth inning, and a liner to right field quickly as Victorino over, and he plays it on a hop. And waiting around is Robinson Cano taking a hack at the first pitch of the fourth inning. He's 2 for 2.
Boy, he gets something to hit like that. His eyes light up too. Bunted for a double the first time up. You can see why they want to play him to pull, because that's exactly what he does most of the time. If he can hit a ball to left center field like we've seen many, many times.
Alfonso Soriano struck out in the first inning. He is 0 for 1. Time called here. You look at this and you have the feeling like the Red Sox have a huge lead here at the moment with all the base runners they've had and the balls they've hit, and it's only 4 to 1.
Right, because he made a big pitch to Carp. He punched him out with a fastball with the bases loaded. And last inning he punches out Middlebrooks on a slider with a guy on third with less than 2 outs. 2 big pitches. Get him on the ropes. You got to put him away.
In the air to center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. is under it, and he'll make the catch for the first out of the fourth inning. On Sunday's all-new Ultimate Red Sox show presented by AAA. Jenny will talk with AL co-players of the week, Mike Napoli and Will Middlebrooks. Also check in on Hats Off for Haiti. And Peter Gammons will sit down with Xander Bogaerts. Catch all that and more on the Ultimate Red Sox show Sunday at 5. 1 on, 1 out. And Lyle Overbay coming up. Overbay grounded out to second base in the second inning. Red Sox seeing a lot of Lyle Overbay, not only in years past with Toronto, but he got a good long look in spring training. It's sharply hit, knocked down by Pedroia, but ends up behind him, stayed with it, but has no play. Got too far away. Off the tip of his glove and out to short right. He's frustrated, but Overbay will reach.
That is an absolute bullet. That, you know, we get used to Pedroia picking it, but that is a rocket right at him. He tries to play it to the side, nicks off the side of his glove, trickles far enough away that Overbay could get a base hit on that, but that's a bullet.
Error charge to Pedroia at second base.
Oh,
that's a tough error.
Oh, that is a error. Are you kidding me? They got to change that.
So first and second here for the Yankees with 1 out in the fourth inning.
Guy hits a rocket right at you. You better catch it, huh? This is a tough league.
Eduardo Nunez grounded back to the mound first time up. He'll send one foul off to the right.
I don't even peek on the mound to see if that.
Look.
I'm not looking. You don't want anybody to see you look anyway, right? But I'm not looking because I think that's a hit.
Well, for now, Pedroia charged with the error.
What's he got, 2 now or 3?
That'll be his 5th of the year.
Man.
This is in the air to center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. moves back and makes the catch in front of the warning track. Tagging at second and moving to third is Cano. But now 2 down in the inning. And it brings up Ichiro in his second at bat tonight against John Lackey. Ichiro flying out to left field in the second inning.
This is his 112th at bat. 112 at bats against a pitcher. It's unheard of. That's how many years he was in Seattle, and obviously Lackey was in with the Angels, but 112 at bats.
That's quite a sample size,
isn't it?
In there for strike 1. Came in hitting at 300 against Lackey in his career. Bats with Cano at third, Overbay at first, and 2 down. In there for strike 2.
Ichiro not really afraid to get behind the count. He's got 2 strikes on him a lot.
He'll foul off a few. He doesn't have a problem doing that.
No, he had a big at bat against Peavy in New York. Peavy finally struck him out on a changeup after about 11 pitch at bat.
On the ground right side, Pedroia diving. Will get up and fire to first for the out. He makes up for the error as he makes the diving play at second base. The Yankees strand a pair. Red Sox lead at 4-1. Always put others first. Would be nice if your bank did the same thing. With products that make life easier and a commitment to helping those in need. Here, your first Eastern Bank. Now it's on to the last half of the 4th inning. Red Sox have a 4-1 lead. And have Dustin Pedroia, Shane Victorino, and David Ortiz expected here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Is 2 for 2 in the game. He is singled twice to left as this runs inside and evens a count at 1-1. Chops it towards third base. Nunez started to go back, now charging and throwing him out at first base. A little indecision there initially for Nunez, but he makes the play for the first out of the inning.
Nunez charging on his ball, doesn't know which way to go. Got more than enough time to throw out Pedroia, but the guy has been playing shortstop for them for a long time until they got Ryan just recently. This one gets away a little bit, and as
Victorino kind of shaking his head a little bit. It is a slider, though, that time that comes out of his hand. Your Eastern Mass Lexus dealers bring you the pitching line for Hiroki Kuroda. 3 1/3, 6 hits, 4 runs. All the runs coming in the first inning. 2 walks, 2 Ks. And we'll drop in there for a strike. 2-1. Now, Kuroda has been living dangerously ever since the first inning, but been getting away with it. Red Sox have left 5 men on base through the first 3 innings. This one fouled off. Stewart again, kind of letting him off the hook like last time so far.
Throwing a lot more sliders now to these right-handed hitters. Feel like you're letting him off the hook. Slider didn't have a lot of break to it.
Chops softly towards short. Ryan will charge and throws quickly in time to get Victorino for the second out here of the 4th inning. So 2 up, 2 down for Kuroda, and Victorino gingerly walking off again as he beat it on down the line. But
he's always limping. I don't know whether he's good to go or not day to day.
Favoring a leg as he came off.
Because he wasn't really getting it down the line. He knew that was a routine out. Wincing going on.
2 down here in the 4th inning, and it brings up David Ortiz. Shift on here for the Yankees on the right side of the infield for New York. Ortiz has already been on base twice tonight as he doubled in the first, walked intentionally in the second inning. Shows bunt and takes the strike.
He's trying to get cute like Cano, and we've seen him try that before.
We haven't seen him beat it out for a double, though, like Cano did. That was something special.
No, that was. Boy, the ball that Ortiz hit to left center field, the hanging breaking ball by Hellickson last night. Oh, he crushed that ball.
Now he hits a high fly ball to right field, sending Ichiro back onto the dirt of the track to make the catch in front of the wall. It ends the 4th inning. We head for the 5th from Fenway. It's 4-1 Red Sox. just opened its first appliance gallery. For more on this FW Web showroom, visit frankweb.com today. It is 4-1. The Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees as we head into the 5th inning. John Lackey back on the mound for the 5th. And it's Brendan Ryan who leads it off here. He homered to supply the Yankees with their run in the 3rd. Now hits a fly ball to right field. Victorino over towards the track and onto it to make the catch for the first out of the 5th inning. So one down here in the inning, and it brings up Chris Stewart. Toronto jumping out to a 3-0 advantage tonight over Baltimore. Not really jumping out. They're in the 7th inning now in Toronto. Game moving right along.
You look at the board and it's almost like nobody's making their move. None of the wild card teams. Baltimore's losing. Obviously New York. Cleveland's winning. They won. You know, that's Cleveland might sneak in there. You know, they could sneak in there.
The schedule is in their favor.
Right.
And I mean, the schedule may mean nothing in the end, but if you look at the teams that they are playing still, they have the Houstons, the White Sox. They got some teams that they can beat. This is back at Lackey, and he fires to first for the 2nd out of the inning. So as a result of the victory, the Indians are tied with the Yankees. A game back of the Rays in that action. And Tampa Bay tonight has a 1-0 lead over Minnesota.
Because the Red Sox could have something to do with knocking out Baltimore and New York and letting someone like Cleveland slide in there. But it's Tampa the one that gave it up. It was theirs to have. And I think it was almost a given a couple weeks ago.
Well, if you think about it, they were very close to the Red Sox just a couple weeks ago. This distance thing has happened very quickly for the Red Sox from the Rays.
Well, they were out of their minds in July, weren't they? Like they won 22 games, something crazy in July. And I knew they couldn't keep that up. And I think they have a better offense than they had in previous years this year.
There's a fly ball to deep right field down the line towards the pole, and a foul ball. Curtis Granderson, who's got good power, that time just foul.
He's hit home runs the last 2 nights. He's starting to get hot. This ball is way back.
In the dirt, and sliding to his left, Saltalamacchia as the count evens at 2-2.
Granderson with that short stroke hits balls out of sight.
Think about all the triples he used to get at Comerica Park when he was with the Tigers. He was a leadoff hitter for a long time for the Tigers.
Yeah, and I don't think the Tigers thought he was going to be what he was, what he's turned out to
power-wise.
be. Power-wise.
Of course, the Tigers did quite well on that deal. They got a lot back. A lot of guys who are there right now performing very well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Jackson, the center fielder, has played well. A couple other guys moved all over the place too. Wasn't another deal in there where Kennedy went over and then ended up in Arizona? Kennedy. Scherzer in that.
Scherzer in that deal. Phil Koch was in that deal.
Exactly.
2-2 is in the air to center. Bradley Jr. had started back now. Waits and puts it away. Lackey enjoys a 1-2-3 5th inning. We're halfway through. 4-1. Red Sox have the lead.
And a quick update for you on Jacoby Ellsbury, who's been sidelined since September 6th with a compression fracture in his right foot. He did start some physical activity today, non-baseball activity, but was able to get out of that walking boot and do some tool work. At this point, there is no projected return date for Ellsbury, but manager John Farrell and Ellsbury's agent Scott Boras have both said that he should return before the end of the regular season, Don.
Well, certainly good news, Jenny, and the Red Sox hoping that will be the case. As think about how he changes games. This is up the middle. Brendan Ryan went around the bag at second, and he fires to get Carp at first base. Carp out on one pitch here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
But Jacoby's so important to this lineup. I know everything's going just smoothly, but when you think about it in a given series, the kind of money bags that he can steal, that stolen base, he can change a game.
You think about a playoff game,
right?
How tight they can be.
Totally. I mean, a stolen base is huge, and the concern that pitchers give him, and you know, one run here, one run there. I mean, when we had Ricky Henderson, he could change everything. I don't know how many games that we won by his stolen base or him just getting on and disrupting the whole game.
And it's amazing how much he can disrupt pitchers as well, just having to worry about him.
I mean, he could steal a bag at will. And, you know, you never knew that it was hurting so badly. He stole a base after it. He played after that, which makes you think it's not that bad. But obviously it is. Not to the point of like it was with Pedroia. Pedroia was done, right, when he had the same injury.
Of course, fouled it off his foot in San Francisco. It was the day after he had the 3 home runs in Colorado.
And then he tried to come back later on in the season and didn't last very long.
This is lined to center field and in for a base hit. Daniel Nava has got his second hit of the night. Ever find yourself guessing what you think is going to happen during every at bat? Well, there's an app for that. MLB Preplay is the official prediction game of Major League Baseball, and it's free to download on iOS and Android. Download now at NESN.com/preplay and play along during every Red Sox game.
He's had some pretty good swings off of Kuroda tonight, and it's 4-1. It makes you think it's, you know, much bigger lead.
Red Sox had base runners all over the place early, some well hit balls. When the Yankees have been hitting home runs, you need more of a lead than this.
It's not exactly the same home run hitting team, the Yankees, but big difference from what they were about halfway through the season. They were just the worst in the American League at one point. They turned it around.
And you got Soriano now in that lineup. You got Alex Rodriguez in that lineup. You got Curtis Granderson in that lineup, none of which were in that lineup at the time. In the air to right field. Ichiro has it sized up. Off with the pitch was Nava. He's going to try to get back to first, and he will. Wild throw back in. Backed up by Kuroda. Ichiro tried to nab Nava, who was running on the pitch, but he does get back. The throw was off the mark as well.
But another good swing by Salty. He hits this ball solid right at Ichiro, and there's no chance to double him up, but he tried it anyway. Ball Drew hit last time up that we saw Granderson catch at the wall. I thought that ball had a chance when he first hit it.
Absolutely.
Then it didn't even catch the wall.
Granderson able to make the grab at the wall. Drew double to drive in 2 runs in the first inning. Kuroda has kind of settled into this game as he is now retired 9 of the last 10. There's been action behind him quite a bit. Preston Claiborne is up currently. He'd been up earlier, back up again. Saw lots of Claiborne in that series in New York. We saw lots of everybody in New York as it turned out in that series from the bullpen for the Yankees.
But the Yankees are in trouble if they don't get good starting pitching. You could say that about any club. But them in particular, because of the situation they have in the bullpen.
They have 13 relievers.
There's a reason why.
They may need them all.
Yes. And their two most important ones besides Rivera, Logan, I think, is out. He may be down there, but and they saw Robertson last night pitch in Baltimore. He just didn't look like the same guy. He's talking about some shoulder problems that he had, but he went out there last night, gave a 3-run home run to Valencia late in that game to tie it up. Yankees won it in extra.
Does this mean more than a role for Jabba Chamberlain, perhaps?
Right.
One pitch going to miss for ball 2, 2-1. Red Sox have 9 men in their bullpen, 4 lefties and 5 right-handers.
That waves of relievers for the Red Sox the last 3 nights in
Hasn't that been
Tampa,
interesting?
isn't it? Every night
the lead was a little bit different. Where last night trailing in that case, but still a close game, and yet the sequence of guys getting up was different every night.
Every night, it's hard to do. Obviously, this time of the year, but. And I think it's given those young kids some opportunities to get some, Britton last night, he hadn't pitched in a while.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys hadn't pitched in a while. Workman has been getting some big innings for them. Hung the breaking ball to Loney the other night.
The short Ryan will go to second base on an underhand toss for the force out at second to end the inning. Through 5, Red Sox have a 4-1 lead. Sabathia and John Lester go head-to-head. Each looking for their 14th win of the season. Then on Sunday, Clay Buchholz looks to improve to a perfect 11-0 when he wraps up the series against New York, battling Ivan Nova. Of course, tomorrow on Fox, Sunday on ESPN. Alex Rodriguez leading it off here in the top half of the 6th inning. 0 for 2. He's done the same thing twice. That strikeout.
I know we're going to have a lot of time in the coming games going forward talking about the playoffs. You don't want to jinx it. I understand that, but you can't help but not think when you see the pitching matchups like that. See Buchholz pitching on Sunday. Who is the big 3? And I think for me right now, Lackey's one of the big 3. I think it all depends on Buchholz more than anything else.
Later on, flying out to center field for the first out of the inning. It's time for a Toyota game break. Here's Tom Caron. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. Well, here it is 4-1. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees. New York batting here in the 6th inning with 1 out. And Robinson Cano. I guess the question is, Zach, do you need 3 or 4 starters going into a 5-game series in your mind?
Well, I haven't done the numbers. I don't know how it works out, an extra day off, how it works, right? But if you're going to go, tell me who the big 3 are and then tell me who the 4 are. And then to me, it's pretty clear. I think that Peavy would be the 4th. And now who's number 1? That's the secret. Who is number 1? You know, we're taking for granted that Buchholz is going to be fine. But if he's the Buchholz that we think he can be, he would have to be number 1. If not that, then Lester is. Now, and
back goes Victorino, and it's going to be over his head. One kind of fooled him, and it quickly gets over his head as Cano heads into second base with his 3rd hit of the night and 2nd double. Kind of gliding back on that with Shane initially, and it gets up over the head of Shane Victorino.
It's pretty hard to hit a ball over Shane Victorino's head. Robinson Cano's had a good night. The bunt doubled first time up, bullet base hit second time up, and then you see this drive. I think it tricked him a little bit. A little step in, and then it caught him coming in, and he had not enough time because the ball was hit on a line. He doesn't make that mistake very often, but that ball was torched.
Cano, big night tonight again. He's doing everything he can do here for New York. He stands at second with 1 down. And here's Alfonso Soriano, who's 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied out. And a foul off to the right out of play. I guess a lot of that does really matter what Clay Buchholz does here down the stretch.
It's all about Buchholz. But this guy on the mound, I know he had a bad outing last time out, but he's been consistent all year long. We see he's a strike thrower. This guy, he throws 70% strikes every time he goes out there. Tonight they're playing into him. He's got 65 pitches right here.
Always enjoyed his competitive nature as a starter for the Angels in the postseason as well. Think of him as a guy who's really a gamer, especially when it comes down to postseason baseball.
Yeah, there's no fear there. I mean, this guy looks like he always wants the ball. I mean, I remember the game that he yelled at Socha, right?
Didn't want to come
him out.
1-1 pitch he wanted badly and appeared to hit the top of the strike zone, but called a ball.
You hear him grunting out there. This ball has the top of the strike zone. You see on a Mika pitch zone, that ball's a strike.
Line to left field. It's going to get in for a hit. Nava gathers it quickly and guns it back in. As taking third is Cano. And a single to left for Soriano. That's Alfonso Soriano's first hit of the night, and it's 1st and 3rd with 1 down. Well, for every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy make a donation to Boston Children's Hospital towards their $25,000 donation this season.
Boy, Lackey's lucky he just got a base hit on that ball. He pumping him with fastballs. Soriano, you think he'd try to throw him breaking ball in the dirt. But you see this fastball, that's right there. He's lucky he didn't leave. He was all over. A little topspin base hit.
Fly ball out towards the gap in right center field. On the run is Victorino to get there. Shane Victorino makes the catch in right center. Cano tags and scores. Well, what a running grab for Victorino. Didn't think he had a chance in the beginning, but he gets there.
Watch him go after this ball. This is a game-changing play. Ball in the gap. This is a 2-run double. Look at him get this ball. Snatches this ball at the end of this run. Only Victorino catches this ball with his speed. He got a great jump, full extension, almost clanked out of his glove, but that's a 2-run double that only ends up being a sacrifice fly.
He's kind of willing his way through the injuries with that kind of speed to get there.
When Oberbay hit that ball, I looked up. I said, he's not going to get to that ball, is he? He gets to everything. He made a mistake on Cano's ball. Kind of caught him caught with one step in. But, boy, that is a big catch. That's a game-changing catch.
Two down, Soriano at first base. The run in for the Yankees, and Eduardo Nunez will take strike one. Nunez 0 for 2. He's grounded back to the mound and flied out to center field. Baltimore's come all the way back in the Toronto game to tie it up 3-3 now in the 7th inning at the Rogers Center in Toronto. There's the pitch in there for strike 2. Still 1-0 tonight. Tampa Bay on top of Minnesota. They're in the 3rd inning at Target Field in Minnesota.
Sometimes what happens is you throw too many strikes, and that's what John does sometimes.
Right now 72% of his pitches have been strikes. As he backs off.
Little breaking ball, punch him out.
Low and away. And Nunez didn't chase. 1-2. His ticket brings you the pitching line for John Lackey. 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs. Hasn't walked anybody. Struck out 3. And it's 72 pitches with 2 down here in the 6th inning. Runner goes at first. Nunez will take a ball and in and out of the hand for Saltalamacchia. He's going to have much of a chance on Soriano anyway, but unable to get a handle on it.
I knew he was thinking about stealing, but he didn't want to make the last out over there. He picked the right pitch to go down. Saltalamacchia can't get it out of his glove, but a pretty good jump by Soriano. Headlong dive. I don't think Salty had a shot.
This one fouled back, and it hangs at 2-2. Nice concentration to stay with it. Line to center. Jackie Bradley Jr. is out there, and he'll make the catch that ends the inning. So the Yankees get a run. It is 4-2 Boston at the end of 5.5. People's United Bank. Adam Pellerin and Gary Streisky will bring you everything you need to know from the day in sports, including reaction from last night's game between the Patriots and Jets. We'll also review our game here at Fenway and hear what's happening at Bruins training camp with Jamie Erdahl. It all comes your way on NESN Sports Today, immediately following our Sox coverage. Well, the Yankees get a run back in the top half of the 6th inning. It's 4-2. Boston on top. There's Will Middlebrooks. Leads it off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Will, after the first pitch, kind of bloops one out to short right field. Cano out, and Cano makes the catch over the shoulder with his back to the plate. What a play by the Yankees second baseman.
He's made a lot of these plays over the course of his career. Makes them look fairly easy, but this ball was jammed Middlebrooks, and it looks like he's got a beat on it. He gets on his horse, snatches it, makes it look easy. Look at this. Over his shoulder, look, full extension. It wasn't a basket. He had to reach out there and get it on the run. Took a hit away from Middlebrooks.
One down here in the 6th inning. Jackie Bradley Jr. the batter. And he'll take strike one.
Who's a Golden Glover? Is it Cano or Pedroia? I mean, that's who it comes down to. Cano won it last year, but the way Pedroia's played this year, I thought he could overtake him.
Well, Cano has made 5 errors on the season.
So they both have 5 because Pedroia got his 5th tonight, as you said, which I thought was a hit.
Right. They have not changed that. So both with 5.
Pedroia made another patented slide catch. One hopper diving in the hole.
Backing up is Overbay's going to need help, and over is Kuroda for the out. And there are 2 outs here in the 6th inning. And now is the chance to show your Boston pride and win a Red Sox Flex t-shirt. Simply post a photo on Instagram using hashtag Red Sox Flex that shows you giving your best impersonation of the Stay Strong Flex. The Red Sox will select the top 50 and have fans help vote on their favorite on social media. All photos will be featured on redsox.com/flex. Be sure to follow at Red Sox on Instagram for behind-the-scenes photos all season long. The contest will end Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. 2 down here in the 6th inning, and it brings up Dustin Pedroia. That was hard to imagine in the first inning that Hiroki Kuroda would be around here in the 6th inning. But here he is.
I mean, you're talking only 93 pitches. He was on his way out of this game. Bases loaded jam that he got out of in the 2nd inning was huge when you look back.
Threw 51 pitches through the first 2 innings. And has made his way into the 6th inning with 2 down. See all the pitches in the first 2 innings. It's been very economical since. There's a ground ball to first base again. Kuroda's got to get over. He's there again. And it's out number 3 of the inning. Red Sox go in order in the 6th. We head to the 7th. It's 4-2 Boston. Every home run hit by the Sox. Today, 80,500 has been donated. Hess and Hess Express committed to helping the cause. Well, it's 4-2. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees as we head to the 7th inning. Ichiro Suzuki to lead it off, and he'll take strike one. Ichiro's fly to the left and grounded out to second base. Ground ball right side. It is picked by Karp over his Lackey for out number one of the inning.
That's the third play in a row, 3-1. You don't see that too often.
No. Kuroda was tired after running over there twice in last inning.
At least it's the last out. He can catch his breath.
And Craig Breslow and Brandon Workman warming in the pen. Curious to get your thoughts on Brandon Workman. He's been used in some important times lately. He's not had the best success, but they are testing him out here to see if he's one of the guys who can fill some of those roles at the end of games.
I like him. You know, he gives up a home run. He threw a hanger. You know, but that's what's going to happen. You throw a hanger. But I like everything else. I like the makeup. I like his gas. He goes after people. I think he throws strikes. I mean, I like him a lot. Now, where they were going to put him down the road, I mean, he's still going to have to prove. I mean, you always have to prove. You know, there's a lot of the season left. You know, a couple of weeks left. And but I think that Farrell likes him too. I really do. I think he trusts him. And that's hard to, you know, get trust this early on.
Yeah, that's like what you saw from him as a starter as well. Maybe down the road. I'm not talking about this year, but in the future.
Oh, sure. I mean, he's got that starter body. He's built. But he's got that hump. You could tell there's some, you know, the fastball gets on the hitters. You could tell by the swings that they have off him. Forget about the miles per hour. You know, he throws hard, yes, granted, but the hitters don't pick it up that well. He's up in the strike zone a little bit.
It was ground ball deep short, and by the dive of Drew, it finds its way into left field, and Brendan Ryan is on with a one-out single, his second hit of the ball game. Well, Dunkin' Donuts is proud to give back at every Sox home game. Dunkin' hosts a nonprofit children's organization. Tonight we welcome Cub Scout Pack 377 from Hampton Falls, New Hampshire to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community. And they're watching a Red Sox 4-2 lead right now with one out in the top of the 7th inning. Brendan Ryan has got a couple of hits. This is in the air down the left field line. Struck well into the corner goes Nava, and it'll be off the bottom of the wall. Ryan heads to third base, and a base hit for Stewart down the line in left. And it's first and third. It's the bottom of the Yankees order doing some damage here against John Lackey.
Well, Stewart doesn't exactly crush this ball, but he hits it right down the line. See, a hanging breaking ball hits the end of his bat. He's not sure what it's going to be. It's not long enough for a home run, thank goodness. This ball catches the wall. Nava gets it in, holds Stewart to a base hit, but first and third from the 8th and 9th hitters are on the base. And I don't care how many pitches Lackey's got, he might be gone.
He's only at 82 at this point of the game, and he is kind of turned around looking at
he's
John
gone.
Farrell.
No, you're gone.
He looks stunned.
He shouldn't be. They've hit some balls hard off him tonight.
So first and third, a pitching change as Lackey makes his way off. Saltalamacchia leaving this game after 82 pitches and seemed to be very surprised.
Yeah, he's not real happy, but that's pretty much what he does. And I'll tell you, the 8th and 9th hitters get on the bags. The tying runs are on, and he's upset because he's only got 82 pitches. You think he'd still be in that ball game, but he's kind of lucky if you think about it. The ball that was caught in the gap by Victorino, that could have been 2 runs, and that would have been a totally different ball game. So you give it to the bullpen because you got a guy like Breslow that has been doing the job, and that's the way you want to lose this game, or whatever you want to say. That's why he made this move, because he trusts him more than he does Lackey right now.
Call to the bullpen brought to you on Nesson by New England Ford dealers. Breslow's 55th appearance of the year. 1st and 3rd with 1 out in the inning, and Curtis Granderson will take ball 1.
You think about it, Curtis Granderson hit a bomb last time up, foul ball. This guy's legitimate pop, and you don't want to have Lackey on the mound and give up a 3-run home run, because that looks silly.
Well, he narrowly missed a home run in his last at bat, ended up flying out to center. This one gets away from Saltalamacchia briefly. No chance for Ryan to try it, and it is now 2-0.
Breslow's been so good this year, control wise, keeps the ball down, gets right-handed hitters out, left-handed hitters out. I mean, he's been as good as anybody ever thought he'd be.
He's given up just 1 run in his last 21 appearances. And quietly been going multi-innings as well. As the pitch will miss, and he falls behind here 3-0.
Wonder which way he goes here. If he does lose Granderson, does he bring in Workman to face A-Rod with the bases loaded?
There's a strike, and it's 3-1. Run over the inside corner.
Big pitch right here.
On the ground, foul, and a full count now. He's battled back. Anderson just 2 for 14 in his career against Breslow at 143. Against A-Rod, Breslow, well, A-Rod is 333, 2 for 6 against Breslow. The Sox have double-barreled action in the pen. Workman has been up a long time. He's been joined by Franklin Morales since Breslow has come into this game. The Sox, of course, with 4 lefties in the pen. There's a pop-up back and out of play.
Boy, he's partying right there. 3-2. Here, hit it. Hasn't thrown a breaking ball, I don't think, this is at bat, but you see this 3-2 fastball. You don't want to walk him.
Nitro grounded out to begin the inning. Brendan Ryan singled. Chris Stewart singled. Lackey leaves the game. Now Breslow with a 3-2 pitch. And Granderson went around. Home plate umpire Ted Barrett rings him up. He didn't even check. So a big strikeout for Breslow. It's the 2nd out of the inning.
Breslow breaks out the cutter. 3-2. The ball's down and away. You're hoping that Granderson swings at this because it's a ball, and I don't know. I mean, for the home plate umpire to make this call, I don't know.
Ooh, I think you got to check on that one.
You got to let the third base umpire make that call. Great for the Red Sox.
Last whiff was brought to you by Head and Shoulders. Ted Barrett, the crew chief of this 4-man crew. 2 down in the inning for Alex Rodriguez. 0 for 3 in the game. He has struck out twice and flat out to center. Chance to do some damage here in this 2-run game as the Yankees bat in the 7th. There's ball 1. Up and away for ball 2.
It's Breslow's game because you got Cano on deck, so you know he's going to face him too. Breslow's been the man for a long time. He's been hot.
And 2 scoreless innings on Tuesday night at Tampa Bay. But he falls behind here 3-0 to A-Rod.
Back-to-back 3-0s. Let's see if he can come back here.
Pretty tough way to operate.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you don't want him to run into anything right here. If he likes it, he's leaving Earth.
He takes strike 1 right at the bottom of the strike zone. Interested spectator in the Red Sox dugout, John Lackey, no doubt. He is responsible for Brendan Ryan at third base, Chris Stewart at first base. Ends up going 6 1/3. Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. So that is just the first walk given up by Red Sox pitching tonight. It loads the bases here in the 7th inning.
This is a tightrope act. Had 3 balls on consecutive hitters, back-to-back full counts. No, excuse me, back-to-back 3-ball counts. And now you got Cano, 3 hits on the night. Stung it the last time up, hit it over Victorino's head.
Cano is 4 for 18 in his career against Breslow. He hits at .222 against Craig Breslow.
First pitch. Heads up.
He's been swinging early. Doubled in the first, singled in the fourth, doubled in the 6th inning. And he takes strike 1. Cano didn't like it. Bases loaded this season. He's 4 for 9. Ryan at third base, Stewart at second base, and Rodriguez at first base. 2 down here in the Yankees 7th inning. Baltimore has pulled ahead tonight of Toronto 4-3. They're now in the 8th inning. Tampa Bay a 2-0 lead over Minnesota. There in the 4th inning. Down low for ball 2, 2-1.
Breslow has been careful. Every hitter he's gone at will not throw the ball down the middle. He's trying to be just perfect. Doesn't have to center it right here either. Throw him another little cutter.
To the gap in right center field. It's going to get down and roll to the track of the wall. 1 run is in. Here comes his 2nd run. A-Rod will be stopped at third. It is a 2-run double for Robinson Cano. And this game is tied at 4.
He didn't have to center it, but he did center a little cutter. And Cano, the wrong guy to center something to. 4th hit on the night. Cutter middle. Gappage. Bases loaded. This ball should score 3 runs. It goes all the way to the wall. And A-Rod can't run a lick because that's why he doesn't score on this ball. But that ball should clear the bases. Closes a book on Lackey's night.
He gets charged with 4 runs as Breslow departs here. Pitching change from Fenway. New game tied 4-4. Presented by DCU. NESN's pregame coverage of the Sox begins an hour before every game. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union, banking the DCU way. Four the score with 2 outs here in the top half of the 7th inning. Alfonso Soriano, the batter. First pitch from Brandon Workman is in there for strike 1. Trying to keep this a tie game right now as the Yankees have tied it up with 2 runs here in the top of the 7th. Workman's 17th appearance after he made 3 starts earlier this year. 5-3 with a 4.58 earned run average. Soriano has struck out, flied out to center, and singled. A 1-for-3 night for the Yankees left fielder. Alex Rodriguez at third base. Robinson Cano at second base.
This goes into the high pressure appearance. One of the few bad appearances Breslow's had in a long time.
He's responsible for the 2 men on. He allowed 2 inherited runners to score. All 4 runs charged to John Lackey tonight. Outside for ball 3.
He's coming into this game just humping, man. Fastballs humping. Kind of yanked a couple on the outside corner.
Lyle Overbay waiting on deck. 2 outs here for New York in the 7th inning. On the ground to third base. Picked to his left by Middlebrooks. The throw is in time and the inning is over. But the Yankees get 2 and tie the score at 4-aside. Before their game against the Buccaneers next weekend. We look forward to hearing about that and everything we need to know from the day in sports on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank, tonight following our Sox coverage. Four to 4 the score as we head here to the bottom of the 7th inning. Rookie Kuroda, who did not appear that he was going to get out of the early part of this game after throwing 33 pitches and giving up 4 runs in the first inning. is now in a tie game, 4-4. Red Sox had all kinds of chances and could not do anything against him after those 4 runs. Shane Victorino leads it off, and he'll take ball 1.
Well, I would have put the house on. He wouldn't get out of the 3rd inning.
Here he is in the 7th.
Really, the 2nd inning.
And this is now the 2nd straight start that has happened against the Red Sox for Kuroda. Ended up going 6 last time, giving up 2 runs.
You got to give him credit. You let these guys find their way back.
Victorino, Ortiz, and Carp to bat here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bullpen busy for the Yankees. Cesar Cabral and Preston Claiborne, who has now been up 3 times in the game for New York. He was up one of the earliest pitchers up in this game when Kuroda was running into trouble in the 2nd inning again. 3-1 pitch. Victorino lines one, exploded by Nunez at 3rd base down the line. Soriano over to play it, and it is a base hit for Shane Victorino to begin the bottom of the 7th inning. Hot shot down at the hot corner.
Hot shot is right. He gets a fastball 3-1. Watch your lips on that one hop. He goes backwards onto his backside just to get out of the way. Ball went down the line. I thought he could possibly have a shot at 2, but see ya, Kuroda finally.
So Joe Girardi out to make the change as Kuroda departs after giving up a base hit to begin the 7th. Game tied 4-4. Clutch lineup of janitorial products. They'll mop up the worst of your cleaning problems, and WB Mason delivers same day, so your worst messes will be yesterday's news. Well, this game summary was brought to you by Xfinity from Comcast. Kuroda departing this game after 6+ innings. So far charged with 4 runs. Robinson Cano has had a huge night for New York. 4 for 4 in this game, driving in the 2 runs that tie the score. John Lackey will not be part of the decision. He gives up 4 runs in 6 1/3. Daniel Nava 2 for 3 in this game as David Ortiz steps to the plate with a runner at first base. And he will take strike 1 from the new pitcher, Cesar Cabral, into the game here for New York. 4th appearance, has not given up a run in an inning and 2/3. Saw him last weekend in New York.
He hasn't pitched very much, and I can't imagine him pitching any more than this one hitter to Ortiz.
Look out, and Ortiz gets hit. 90-mile-an-hour fastball that hits Big Papi.
The umpire goes out to give him a ball. I don't know really what he's saying. He missed so badly on this fastball. I think this is a nervous piece. I think this kid hasn't been out there very often, and this one got away from him. No time to drill David, but he got him good. You never see that. That ball's behind him in the back.
First time David Ortiz been hit since 2011. Ball was just thrown onto the field, and the umpires are trying to figure out who it was. Apparently one of the umpires saw it. Alfonso Marquez, the umpire over there, talking to Fenway Park security. The ball thrown onto the field.
But the ball that was thrown in David's back is the problem. That ball was.
Well, let me ask you this. I know people are going to think that because it was expected the Yankees would retaliate. To me, this is absolutely the wrong time for them to have ever done this. This can't be intentional.
There's no way. They just came back to tie this thing.
Right. There's absolutely no way.
They feel fortunate where they are right now. This kid has not been in the big leagues.
This is a nervous reaction.
Absolutely.
The pinch hitter coming up here, and Johnny Gomes.
He's gone. See ya. I knew he was only there for one hitter.
Once they introduce Gomes, here comes Joe Girardi. So he couldn't get his man. He hit him instead. The Red Sox have put 2 on with nobody out. Game tied 4-4. Universe during the Orioles series next Tuesday through Thursday, September 17th through the 19th. Students can purchase $20 to $30 tickets for just $10. Go to studentuniverse.com or redsox.com or take advantage of this great offer. 2 on, nobody out in a 4-4 game. Red Sox going to have a pinch hitter coming up in Johnny Gomes as they'll be dealing with the new Yankees pitcher. In is Preston Claiborne, third pitcher used by New York of the night, and Claiborne into his 41st game of the year. 0-2, 3.86 earned run average, 37 Ks to 12 walks. Opponents hitting at .258 against him. Gomes batting for Carpier in the 7th inning. Third pitcher of the inning for New York. And Gomes takes strike 1.
Red Sox knocked him around a little bit in New York. Gave up 3 runs. Everybody got knocked around in New York.
A little different group of pitchers coming out of the Yankees bullpen at crucial times now, late in games.
Well, how many got down there? Did you say 12? 13. This guy's been here, 40 appearances. He's been around a while this year. Done a decent job for them, but there's a lot of unknown relievers on this staff that you're going to see at the end of the season. Out of necessity.
Outside of Gomes, 2-1. .333 batting average for Gomes in this spot. His pinch hitting this season. This will be the 19th time that he has pinch hit this season, with 4 pinch hit home runs on the year.
Gonna get another breaking ball right here, probably.
And it's in the dirt. 3-1.
Nobody's biting at that breaking ball.
Daniel Nava on deck. Outside ball 4, bases loaded. Good patient at bat here in the pinch hitting role for Gomes.
I'll tell you what, Gomes will give you a good at bat. I mean, the guy, you think he wants to launch one when you see him up there tugging his helmet. You think he can't wait to swing, but he gives you a good at bat. He eyeballs you. And he's ready when he comes to bat. His pinch hitting is incredible.
Well, he's done a great job of it all year long and is aboard here. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Daniel Nava, who's already had a 2-hit game, singled in the first, singled in the 5th. Nava jumps on the first pitch and fouls it off to the left.
Boy, Nava's ready. You never see him jump at a pitch like that. Ball's kind of up out of the zone. And he's ready. A little late.
Red Sox trying to take the lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning in a 4-4 game. One and one. Baltimore has added their lead tonight, 5-3 over Toronto. They're in the 9th inning at Rogers Center. Tampa Bay a 2-0 lead in the 5th against Minnesota. Ball 2, 2-1.
He doesn't know where that breaking ball is going. 2-1. You have to sit fastball.
We were talking about Jabba Chamberlain earlier. He is now up for New York.
You're counting on him, you're in trouble.
Nava with a swing and a miss.
The trickster comes up with a changeup. Where did that come from?
After a lot of breaking balls they weren't swinging at.
What a great pitch. That's a big league pitch right there.
Red Sox with the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 7th inning. They left them loaded in the 2nd. Let Kuroda off the hook a few times. Now a chance to do some damage here in a tie game. Nava strikes out. Huge strikeout for Claiborne. It's the first out of the inning.
Claiborne pulls out of his pocket back-to-back changeups. You got to be kidding me. Big pitch. He started him off with a high fastball that he was late on. And he tries to go to a breaking ball down and in. Fastball that he cut. Then the breaking ball for ball 2. And then he comes up with 2 nasty changeups. Down out of the strike zone. And this one kind of runs the other way outside. Great pitch.
Pitch on Nesson is brought to you by Amica. Amica Insurance. Great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Jared Saltalamacchia, the batter. Strike 1. That's credit for that pitch.
3 in a row. Getting carried away with that thing. Boy, he pulled it out the right time.
Saltalamacchia drives one high, deep, and that ball is very gone. Grand slam for Jared Saltalamacchia. 8-4 Sox.
Whoa! You talk about liftoff. Is Saltalamacchia. That is his home run swing. High fly ball forever. Slammage. Look at him lift this ball out of this ballpark. I mean, monster shot. That's when Bridge was Bridge right there. I mean, that is money. Guy threw 3 changeups in a row and then Bridge. You never know in this game. Pitch to pitch.
Now this one's lined to right center field. It's going to get down. Ichiro slides to cut it off. Drew's headed for second. He will get there without a problem standing. And a double for Stephen Drew to add to his big night.
And the hits keep coming.
Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, headed out to talk to Claiborne. As it turns out, the first run of this inning charged to Kuroda, who is on the hook now. As he gets charged with 5 runs in the game. Cabral got charged with 1 of the runs. And Claiborne now 2 on the grand slam by Jared Saltalamacchia.
Can he hit some high fly ball home runs?
Majestic home runs.
I mean, majestic. Oh, my goodness. That, to me, is just money. He launches this ball. As we said, 3 changeups in a row, then a fastball. See ya. He leaned on that. Ichiro didn't even move.
Well, it has changed the complexion of this game in a hurry. A 4-4 game to 8-4 as Will Middlebrooks now bats and takes a pitch downstairs for ball 1. Will 0 for 3 in the game tonight. He has popped out, struck out, and popped out again.
Boy, he let the Yankees back in this game. You thought this game should have been an easy win for the Red Sox. 4 in the first. Let Kuroda off the hook in the second.
And there for a strike, 1-1.
Cano did everything he could do to win this game already. 3 doubles, 4 for 4.
Brooks will take strike 2, and it's 1-2. Yeah, Cano's done everything possible to get the Yankees into this game, tying it up.
Should have been a bases clearing double.
Yes.
A-Rod couldn't score on it because he can't run.
And then Alfonso Soriano came up with runners at second and third. And Workman was able to get him to ground out. Turns out to be a big play as well. Workman's out as he came in to get it.
Yeah, 3-1 pitch hit solidly to third base.
Popped up right side of the Yankees infield. Overbay will make the catch for the second out of the inning. So Middlebrooks retired, 2 down here in the inning. Red Sox baseball is brought to you in part by Grind's Coffee Pouches, the healthy alternative to tobacco for professional baseball. For more information and to get this product Red Sox players use, visit getgrinds.com today. 2 down, Jackie Bradley Jr. 0 for 3 in the game. He's grounded out twice and flied out to center. As Stephen Drew gets his lead off second base. Pitch is in there for strike 1.
I just can't see the Yankees. I know it's a bad inning for the bullpen, but I don't see the Yankees getting in this thing with this bullpen as bad as it is.
In the state that it's in at this time of year.
Yeah, you just can't have that. And then the indication is how many guys are out there. If you have that many guys out there, that's ridiculous. It's telling you, I don't know, man, we're in trouble. Robertson, if Robertson's not right, you've got no chance.
The normal guys you have at the end leading up to Mariano Rivera are not there.
No. And it's crunch time.
Pitch in the dirt, and it is 1-2. I don't know if they still have this many, but the Cleveland Indians had 15 relievers in their bullpen against the Mets last weekend.
And Francona's not really the type of guy right, left, is he? I mean,
well, he may be now.
He may be now.
Again, the Indians already winning today, 3-1. Swing and a miss, and Jackie Bradley Jr. strikes out to end the inning, but the damage most certainly done. A grand slam for Jared Saltalamacchia as the Red Sox on top 8-4. Well, Jared Saltalamacchia's grand slam has given the Red Sox an 8-4 lead. As we get ready for the top half of the 8th inning, some defensive changes for the Red Sox. Johnny Gomes stays in the game and is in left field. Daniel Nava moves from left field to first base. Gomes had pinch hit for Mike Carp, and Carp's out of the game now. So new pitcher also for the Red Sox, Shinichi Tozawa's 67th appearance, 5-3 with a 2.80 earned run average, 69 strikeouts to 12 walks, and opponents hitting at 260 against Tozawa. Lyle Overbay will lead it off. Eduardo Nunez and Ichiro Suzuki expected in the 8th inning. Overbay is 0 for 2 with a sac fly in this game. Picked up his 58th RBI of the year back in the 6th inning. And a swing and a foul tip for strike one.
Overbay got robbed by Victorino. Got a sacrifice fly out of it, but it should have been a double gapper. Then he hit a bullet to Pedroia. They gave it an error. So he got kind of didn't get any break right there either.
Broken bat liner that is caught at third by Middlebrooks. Get the ups going there as he went into the air to grab it.
Sounded like he was going to doink this ball into left field and finally catch a break, but a broken bat. See Middlebrooks get up just a little bit. I thought the ball was hit harder at first, but you heard the broken bat. Didn't hit it very hard.
One down here in the 8th inning for Eduardo Nunez. 0 for 3 in the game. He is grounded out and flied out twice. Swing and a miss for strike one.
Boy, he stays right there with his gas. He's something. This is, to me, is the crucial job of the whole bullpen. This guy right here. He needs to be lights out. Leading up to Uehara.
Who has been
ridiculously
absolutely lights out.
It's beyond lights out.
The one pitch is a pop-up, foul backhand out of play. This will end up on the screen. Like many times over the years, we have seen tremendous ball follows in left field. You remember the home runs that go to the monster seats or over the monster seats, how close the shot is of the ball. Well, for a very long time it's been this guy, Tom Gilmet, our high third cameraman, and tonight is Tom's last game working for the Red Sox, also the Bruins for a great number of years. We wish him well, as he's going to be a director of photography on some documentaries. Always done some great documentaries already, but always harnessed in up there on high third. Tom will be missed, but we wish him very well.
Yeah, nicely done. Good luck.
No 2 pitch to Eduardo Nunez with 1 out in the inning. This one is line foul down into the seats. This one fouled off to the right out of play. Still 0-2. Battling here is Nunez. Yankees do not want to go quietly as they were tied in this game 4-4. The Red Sox with a 4-run 7th inning. The grand slam by Jared Saltalamacchia has changed this game. That's Tozawa trying to work the 8th inning.
He wants a little breaking ball. Shook off the split finger and the fastball. Is this a hook?
On the ground down the line, a third foul.
Slider. You never see him throw sliders. Where'd that come from? Never see sliders from him, right? It's either fastball, split, or hook.
Mixing some stuff in late.
Yeah. We didn't see a curveball for the longest time from him, right? And he finally broke it out.
Yes.
Had a little success with it. Last time against the Yankees, well, in Yankee Stadium, he got in trouble with this too hard of a split finger a couple of times. He got burnt.
Fly ball struck well to center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. going back, and he's there to make the catch. Right to the base of the warning track for the second out of the 8th inning. Send it down to Jenny.
Well, Don, we just want to remind our fans at home to vote in our AT&T text poll question of the night. We're asking at this point in the season who they would like to see the Red Sox play in the first round of the playoffs. So keep texting those votes to 536-536. And it looks like right now, as the votes are coming in, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays are winning. So that we can continue these votes through this game, through our post-game coverage, and the results will be given tonight on NESN Sports Today, Don.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. I'm guessing fans are basing on what they just saw in the last couple days.
Thinking, we could beat them, right? That's what it comes down to.
Now 2 down here in the 8th inning. Ichiro Suzuki will take ball 1. Ichiro 0 for 3 in the game tonight. He's flied out to left, grounded out to second, and grounded out to first.
See those A's beating Texas tonight. Would they have a 3-game lead coming into this? 3.5, one or the other. It's a weekend series.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 coming in with it, and they're winning tonight. It's a big game for them.
Here to right center field. Over is Victorino. And that is the end of the top of the 8th inning. Tazawa has a 1-2-3 inning. It's 8-4 Boston. One high, deep, and that ball is very gone. Grand slam for Jared Saltalamacchia. Well, tonight's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Coors Light. Red Sox now have 8 Grand Slams this year, most they've had since 2005 when they had 11 Grand Slams. And 11 Grand Slams in 05, a club record for the Boston Red Sox. They've had 3 in a calendar week now for the Red Sox. Napoli for the Red Sox against the Yankees. Carp on Wednesday against the Rays. And tonight, Jared Saltalamacchia. Well, Dustin Pedroia leads it off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Outside for ball one. New pitcher in for the Yankees. Matt Daly's second appearance. First appearance, a no decision against the Red Sox, working an inning at Yankee Stadium. This is on the ground, but right at Cano, positioned perfectly, and he throws out Pedroia for the first out here in the bottom of the eighth.
Once again, another reliever you really haven't heard of. It's been in the big leagues before. We talked about him when we were in New York. He was with Colorado Rockies. But that's what you're going to get for the Yankees the rest of the year, is unknown pitchers coming out of the bullpen.
That's a little scary if you're Joe Girardi, I would think, at this point of the year. Hope that somebody steps up big and somebody takes over those roles. One out in the eighth inning, and it brings up Shane Victorino. Takes strike one.
You know, their pitching carried them. They really did for over half the season. They wouldn't have been there without their pitching. The bullpen was stellar. You know, and you talk about their starting rotation. You know, Andy's been pretty good the last month. And we know what Kuroda was for a long period of time. Sabathia hadn't been himself. Hughes has been terrible. And then Nova finally came up and pitched. Pitcher of the month of August. He gave them a boost. But now their problem is the bullpen.
Certainly CC Sabathia, not CC Sabathia, as Victorino chases after that pitch and strikes out.
See this little side armor. It's a bad swing by Victorino. You don't see that very often. He steps in the bucket for the first time tonight.
The insurance proud sponsor of the Amica Pitch Zone. Two down in the eighth inning. Koji Uehara warming up in the bullpen.
I was surprised Uehara pitched the other night.
Yes.
In a tie game on the road.
On the road. It worked out.
Yes. I mean, he obviously got him out 1, 2, 3. What new? But you know, you don't see it, especially as much as he's worked. You don't see that very often. And now you're going to see him tonight. No save. Not that it matters.
Right.
But
it doesn't seem to affect him, though.
No, I guess not, because he's so efficient. I think this wouldn't have happened if he ever had like a 25 pitch inning or something. Then you have to be careful. I just want to be careful with this guy. This guy's been golden.
Ortiz fouls it back. Pretty big cut. And it's 1-2.
I don't remember when I closed being in a tie game on the road. Not very often.
Very unusual.
Very unusual. But you know, they're trying to win that game. I get it. You know, usually you save your closer, and on the road, there's always a save on the road, right? Because there's a bottom of the inning.
Well, we saw him warming up thinking if the Red Sox take the lead, he'll be coming in.
You got it.
Never imagined that if they didn't take the lead and remained tied, that he'd be coming in also.
Right. I said he's not coming in, and then he came in.
There he is. Well, up here in a non-save situation. I've talked about all the teams in the wild card scenario. Have you seen enough of Cleveland to figure out whether or not they're a legitimate threat?
I don't pay attention to Cleveland. I thought they'd never be there. And then all of a sudden they just keep hanging around.
This is towards the gap in left center, and it's going to get down. One hop the wall for Big Papi. And David's into second base with a two-out stand-up double, his second double of the night.
Well, he's been on base 4 times tonight. Got drilled in the back the last time up. And this time, once again, using the left field. Doesn't get to the monster, but that stroke, that Fenway stroke, this is what we used to see a lot more of.
So 2 down, Ortiz at second base, and Johnny Gomes getting his second plate appearance tonight. Pinch hit in the 7th inning and walked. Unloaded the bases for the Red Sox at the time. Jared Saltalamacchia would get the grand slam, which has given Boston a 4-run advantage as they continue to bat here in the 8th. Yankees tonight have used Kuroda, Cabral, Claiborne, and now Daly. Kuroda is currently on the hook. He went 6+ innings, charged with 5 runs, gave up a base hit to begin that 7th inning. And then Joe Girardi made the change. That's a strike, and it's 0-2.
This could be the 4th loss by Kuroda against the Red Sox this year. Well, he's only lost 10 games coming in, right?
And started the night 11-10. ERA under 3 at 2.99. To left field. Soriano on the move. Will get there to make the catch. That ends the inning. We head for the 9th. It's 8-4 Boston. The Reebok Spartan Race run at Fenway Park November the 16th. And by Sullivan Tired Auto Centers. Well, Hess and Hess Express are donating $500 to the Red Sox Foundation for every Red Sox home run this season. Sox have now hit 162, bringing the season total to 81,000. Our thanks to Hess and Hess Express, committed to helping the cause. Mike Napoli has taken over at first base for the Red Sox defensively. And the new Red Sox pitcher is Koji Uehara. 67th appearance, 4-0 with 1.08 earned run average. Non-save situation, but he's 19 out of 22, and it has been. Incredible 93 Ks to 9 walks. Brendan Ryan leading it off and taking ball 1.
You got to be careful with this guy. He went bridge first time up.
Ryan with a home run in the 3rd inning. He's also singled a 2-for-3 night. Fouls this one back.
Ooh.
You could throw all kinds of numbers at you on Uehara. I mean, there are tons. But of the last 93 batters faced in the last 26 games, 7 of them have reached. Of 93 batters.
I saw a number where how many pitches he's thrown and how many strikes over the course of the year. It was
pop-up foul ground. Middlebrooks hit it over. May have a play. He does for the first out of the 9th.
I mean, he's thrown like over 700 strikes out of 900 throws. Something crazy.
The pinch hitter here for the Yankees for Chris Stewart, Vernon Wells, pinch hitting with 1 out in the 9th inning. Wells hitting at .246 this year, 11 homers, 47 runs batted in.
They can't hit that thing. It's like they can't even put it in play, that split finger.
This one fouled back, but you would think during this incredible stretch that someone along the line would by mistake make contact and get it somewhere out there.
Right. Just a flare.
Wells hits one in the air to deep left field. Back goes Gomes at the wall, and he's going to catch it. No room to spare as it stays in the yard for the second out of the 9th.
Don't worry about nothing. First off, you got a 4-run lead. Second off, this is branch work. I mean, when you get to the territory that he's in, he misses this ball, but because it's Fenway, you think it's got a chance, or at least scraping the wall. Wind blowing in a little bit. Thank you. But accidentally somebody would have hit the ball hard.
Swing and a miss for Curtis Granderson with 2 down in the inning.
It's like Bruce Suter's split finger when he had it going on those many years when he was with the Cubs and St. Louis. And there's swing and miss split finger.
The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out and the Red Sox win. Pretty typical 1-2-3 9th inning for Koji Uehara. A great night tonight for the Red Sox as they come away with the 8-4 victory. And Jared Saltalamacchia, the starter night for the Red Sox, with a grand slam. And Tom Caron, a good start to this homestand for Boston.